Siempre dice mi mamá, se vino sola pa'l norte, 20 años pasaron ya, atrás dejó familia que no volvería a ver más. Y si no escapaba el hambre, la iba a matar. Y así se despidió. Mi camino es largo, tu fe yo te encargo, no sé si voy a regresar. Y por eso yo canto y aprieto mi santo cuando me siento a llorar. Vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá.
Para el norte, arriba de la bestia, mochila llena de ropa y fotos de mi niña. Yo me voy para el norte y no me pueden parar. Si la migra me trampa, yo me vuelvo a cruzar.
Vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá.
Mi camino es largo, tu fe yo te encargo, no sé si voy a regresar. Y por eso yo canto y aprieto mi santo cuando me siento a llorar. Yo no quiero sufrir, yo no quiero morir, solo quiero vivir en paz. Y por eso yo canto y aprieto mi santo cuando me siento a llorar. Y dicen,
vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá, vámonos para allá.
Las Cafeteras there's a long story and a short story, and we don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna keep it to the short story. But there's a political art space called the Eastside Cafe in Northeast LA that Cano and Denise are part of founding with a bunch of other movement organizers and activists. But it was a space where it was volunteer run. If you had something you wanted to share or teach, you could do it there. We had ESL classes, art classes, dance classes, punk shows, and we had
Alcoholics Anonymous.
and we did have AA class in that. But there was also this style of music called Son Jarocho, and there was free classes there. And we learned, and when we go play everywhere, we didn't have a name. And one day at one show, someone said, what's your name? We're like, we don't have one. They said, you're Los Cafeteros, get up on stage. But we had a lot more women in the band, and the women said, we're actually not Los Cafeteros, we're Las Cafeteras. And as men at the time, we're like, yeah, hell yeah. We're down with the feminist movement. We're like, we want to challenge patriarchy and language. And we're like, hell yeah, Las Cafeteras? That'd be dope, even if it's men. And so we took it on. So before there was Latinx and gender non-conforming or neutral language, we took on Las Cafeteras as a way to like, kind of challenge sort of like patriarchy and language.
That is definitely the short story.
And that's a short one. Imagine the long one. God.
Yeah.
Wrap it around. Let's do wrap it around.
Well, you mean as a band or individually?
Well, let's do individually. Go for it.
Individually, okay. Well, individually, I played in the band in junior high, and I just saw my friends play, and that was it. Like there was something about music that I knew that I wanted to be part of it. But yeah, junior high band, seeing my friends play.
We used to rehearse before he was in the band in his living room because one of our former members was in the core group, And one rehearsal, I remember it was like 10, 11 p.m. and we're just like playing, trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden you hear like this faint flute coming from like the back room, and we're like, it would stop. And then we're like, play again. And it would start again. We're like, who is that? And we went investigating, and it was Jose. We're like, you're going to get jumped in. Just get in here. Yeah, I didn't start playing music till I was about 22, 23. After grad school. It was, again, like part of the Eastside Cafe. I'm actually a folk dancer, so I dance Mexican folk music, Mexican folk dance. And so I'm familiar with the sounds and the movement of it, but actually playing and singing, I didn't start till I was about 22, 23, when all of my friends were playing it, because we were organizers together, and part of going to marches and protests was offering music. And I think for me, it was the first time, besides, when I wanted to learn Hult and Nirvana songs in junior high, that I picked up an instrument and started playing and singing, especially in front of people. But yeah, it was later in life, and 20 years later, here we are.
Boom. Do I need to say it too? I started writing poetry in high school, and I started learning music in the Eastside Cafe with this instrument, with the jarana. It's my first guitar. It's tuned like a ukulele, so like it's really easy to learn. With 2 chords, you can learn a bunch of songs, and 3 chords, a bunch more. And so it was a great way to like enter music, singing, dancing, playing traditional like folk songs from Veracruz, Mexico, that are like hundreds of years old. And I fell in love with it, and here we are now, like writing our own songs.
Why'd you even want to learn?
I saw Zach de la Rocha play, and so he's from Rage Against the Machine, and like probably the most prominent Chicano artist that there was on the scene. I don't think there was any. And we were part of a movement to save the South Central Farm, which was like the largest urban farm in the country at the time. And we had fundraisers, and there was one where like I think it was Quetzal, maybe Los Cojolites came out, and then Zach de la Rocha shows up, and then like spits poetry and starts rapping over this Afro-Mexican music, and I was just like, yo, I want to do that. It's like, I don't know what that is, I want to do that.
Contagious.
So it's cool.
Wow, when I was in middle school and junior high, my sister, who's 5 years older, she would always be at protests, and she was a self-identified feminist, and I was a teenager. And I remember I used to wear this pin that said, "This is what a feminist looks like." And I was like 14, 15, and I remember this guy that he would just come up to me and be like, "What do you do that's feminist?" And I was so shocked by that question. And I remember that I said, breathe. And, still to this day, there's always these questions of like, why rise up? Why protest? Why, having to constantly explain, believing in like the fight and the struggle for a better world for people like me and like my family. And so the movement, the struggle and seeking like liberation came before music came into my life. And this is how we all met in college. We're student organizers, and like shout out to all the students who are in the encampments right now and really putting their lives on the line for the freedoms of other peoples. But this is what led and informed the music for us. Music became medicinal at that point, where I think we're in a point where we just needed to feel seen and heard and beautiful, and like we mattered. The music was medicine to the voice, and the voice then became the microphone to like the world that we wanted to see. And so I really believe that we're part of a legacy of artists who are really creating the soundtrack of the movement of the time. And so we can only speak our own stories, and it's as simple as that. We're storytellers before we are musicians. And so that we are peoples who have been politicized, through being from immigrant families, it's now like a political sound, right? So you mix art and activism, and you have artivism.
What? Yeah. How's it?
I grew up in Oxnard, so it's just about an hour north of Los Angeles. And I didn't grow up around a lot of art. I didn't grow up around a lot of like cultural expression. And I didn't realize how much I needed it until I actually left where I was at and I saw it. And I felt kind of I felt seen. I felt I felt kind of like nurtured. And ever since I haven't been able to let it go. I don't want to let it go. Like I only want to come closer to it. Now I feel like a big part of like my life's work from here on is to figure out how to contribute to help others to also express in that same way, because it's really sometimes some things don't make sense and we don't know how to say some things, but art, music, dance, it all provides us like a language to be able to say some things that we just have to, where maybe other places we're just not understood, or it doesn't make sense, or like nobody has time to like listen to this stuff, but I could write a song or I could play this stuff and it's healing and liberating for me. I imagine if this is how I feel, it's got to be like almost like a universal language. And I think in many places, kind of like in the spaces where I grew up, I think many people we just don't know. We just don't know that this is available to us, that this exists, that it's a tool. It's not just something that's for fun. We're not just trying to like be rock stars or whatever it is that people think that we're trying to do. There's real healing properties to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, we live at the intersections. Like as Mexican peoples, we're mixed peoples, right? Our music growing up in LA is a mix of all kinds of things. We love hip hop, we love cumbia, we love reggae, we love punk, and we're not just one thing, you know? I don't think we ever were, at least, you know, speaking for myself. And so we never want to be in a box, and I think we live in the middle. And so Gloria Ansaldúa, a wonderful queer author and writer, wrote the book Borderlands, talks about Nepantla, about the world in between. And it's a spiritual place, right? That's not here nor there, right? And I feel like that's where we live, and that's where our music intersects, you know, and meets up. And so a lot of people ask us, what do you sound like? What is your music? And it's like, we're not one thing. So why not spend a night with us in Nepantla? Why don't you come to Nepantla with us so you can see how we live, you can hear how we live, right? And so this album is an invitation for people to hear where we come from, you know, and to share. And so in Nepantla and the world in between, where everything intersects. And so we're super proud of it. And yeah, like we want to connect with a lot of folks in the world in between.